This series begins with Sunwoo, who is a woman, and her husband Taeho. At that time, Sunwoo is putting up a picture of her family on the wall, and she thinks her family is perfect. Shortly after, Taeho comes home from work all wet because it was raining. The next day, Sunwoo finds lipstick in Taeho's jacket pocket. There, Taeho explains that he bought it for himself because his lips were dry from being on a plane. When Sunwoo is getting ready to go to work, Taeho puts a scarf around her neck because he's worried about her being cold after it rained last night. When Sunwoo got to the hospital, she saw police cars in the parking lot. She asked her colleague Mi Young-suk about it. Mi Young-suk told her that Dr. Kung-suk had allegedly choked someone at a bar. As the hospital director, Sunwoo tried to sort out the situation. However, after examining the medical records, it turned out Dr. Kung-suk hadn't choked anyone but had actually provided first aid, so the police left. Later, Sunwoo found brown hair in the scarf Taeho had given her, making her uneasy. Then, several patients, including Yoon-so, came for treatment. Yoon-so asked for sleeping pills, but Sunwoo couldn't just give a prescription, so Yoon-so left. Soon after, a famous painter named Hyo-jung visited Sunwoo and invited her to a gallery showing. When Sunwoo picked up her son from school, she met Mi-yoon, her husband's secretary, who had brown hair. At that time, Sunwoo became suspicious, especially when Mi-yoon mentioned talking to her husband, and claimed he always came home at 5 p.m., which surprised Sunwoo because he usually came home at 7 p.m. The next day, Sunwoo cooked some food for her neighbor Yerim and ended up going to Yerim's house. There, Sunwoo noticed that Yerim also had brown hair, which made her curious about the trend of brown hair. Yerim explained that it was because of an actress who had recently changed her hair color to brown. The following day, when Sunwoo's husband Taeho came home from work, she decided to follow his car to see what he was up to. Soon after, Sunwoo saw Taeho stop at a flower shop. While he was there, Sunwoo unexpectedly ran into Yoon-so, who was being hurt by her boyfriend. Even though Yoon-so asked for help, Sunwoo chose to leave her when she saw Taeho driving away from the flower shop. Then, as Sunwoo continued to follow Taeho, she noticed him going to the hospital where his mother was being treated. There, Taeho explained to Sunwoo that his mother's health was declining, so he visited her daily. Sunwoo felt guilty for suspecting him. However, when she asked a nurse about Taeho's visits, the nurse said he hadn't been there for a long time, making Sunwoo suspicious once again. On their way home, Taeho tells Sunwoo that he'll be going to an exhibition. They both arrive at the exhibition, and he warns her not to mess up in front of an entertainment director named Byung-kyu. Taeho greets Byung-kyu, but Byung-kyu ignores him. Soon after, Sunwoo greets Byung-kyu's wife, Hyo-jung. There, Hyo-jung tells her husband that Sunwoo was the doctor who helped him. At that moment, Sunwoo takes the chance to introduce Taeho as her husband. Hyo-jung then introduces her daughter Dak-young to Sunwoo. There, Hyo-jung expresses her desire to be friends with Sunwoo, and Sunwoo invites them to Taeho's birthday party. Sunwoo also notices Yoon-so, who is working as a waitress. She apologizes to Yoon-so for not helping her when she was being bullied by her boyfriend. Sunwoo also admits that she was scared her husband might be cheating at that time. Yoon-so advises Sunwoo to find evidence and confront Taeho. The next day, Sunwoo met Yuno, who gave her the recipe Yoon-so had asked for. But Sunwoo also planned to ask Yoon-so for help to follow her husband. Eventually, Yoon-so agreed to help and followed Taeho's car. Not long after, Yoon-so saw Taeho enter a house and not come out for 3 hours. When he finally showed up, he was with another woman. Upon knowing that, Yoon-so immediately contacted Sunwoo, informing her that Taeho was with someone else and had hidden something in the trunk of his car. Then, at Taeho's party, Sunwoo borrowed her husband's car keys to search for a camera. While rummaging through the luggage, she found a mysterious cell phone. On the phone, Sunwoo saw a picture of Dak-young being intimate with Taeho. There was also a photo of her friend Yerim, which made Sunwoo feel betrayed by her friends. Overwhelmed with emotions, Sunwoo decided to confront Taeho with a pair of scissors. However, before she could act, their son Jae-nung interrupted, asking for a camera. This stopped her from hurting Taeho. During the party, Taeho thanked his friends, including Sunwoo. Despite her inner turmoil, Sunwoo hid her devastation and watched as Taeho secretly held Dak-young's hand. At that time, Sunwoo was puzzled why Dak-young seemed so happy at the party, especially since Sunwoo didn't recognize most of the people there. There, Yerim explained to her that Dak-young was a Pilates instructor and invited Sunwoo to her place, suggesting that Soonwoo might need to work on her fitness because she's getting older. Meanwhile, Jae-yuk, who was drunk, started boasting about Taeho, which angered Taeho and led to a fight. Thankfully, Soonwoo quickly treated Taeho's injured hand, and the fight was stopped. To sum it up, Taeho met with Dakyung, who was upset because Taeho publicly declared his love for Soonwoo at the party. There, Taeho emphasized to Dakyung that his love for her was greater than his love for Soonwoo. The next day, Soonwoo asked Mi Young-suk why Taeho and Jae-yuk fought. Mi Young-suk explained that Jae-yuk provoked Taeho because he envied the love Taeho received from Soonwoo. Mi Young-suk also hinted that Jae-yuk might have feelings for Soonwoo. Besides that, Mi Young-suk revealed that Taeho confided in her about his affair last month. Soonwoo smiled, realizing that Taeho and Mi Young-suk were true friends who kept each other's secrets. Then, when Taeho got home, he called Mi Young-suk to ask about Soonwoo. But Mi Young-suk, annoyed by Soonwoo's behavior, told Taeho to talk to Soonwoo himself. The next day, Soonwoo and her colleagues held a meeting to discuss Dr. Kung-suk's absence from work for 2 weeks. There, Dr. Kung-suk explained that he was dealing with a personal loss, but Soonwoo decided to fire him because he had let personal issues affect his work and had become dependent on alcohol. Angry, he warned Soonwoo that she would understand his pain someday. As Soonwoo left the meeting room, she was surprised to see Dakyung in the waiting room, who turned out to be her patient. During the examination, Soonwoo asked Dakyung several questions, including about her romantic life. There, Dakyung admitted to dating a married man with children. Despite her anger, Soonwoo conducted the necessary tests, revealing that Dakyung was pregnant. Upon hearing the news, Dakyung was shocked. Soonwoo comforted her, reassuring her that since she's only been with one man, she knows who the father is. Dakyung then went to Mi Young-suk for help with an abortion, but Mi Young-suk couldn't assist due to medical ethics rules set by Soonwoo. Later, Soonwoo went to meet Yoon-so at the bar, but Yoon-so hadn't been to work for 2 days. Worried, Soonwoo went to Yoon-so's apartment and found her being mistreated by her boyfriend, In-kyu. Upon knowing that, Soonwoo intervened, took Yoon-so to the hospital, and treated her injuries. She also urged Yoon-so to leave In-kyu. In the end, Soonwoo asked Taeho if he was seeing other women, but he denied it, claiming Soonwoo was the only one he loved. Soonwoo then asked Mi Young-suk to inform Taeho about Dakyung's pregnancy. Meanwhile, Dakyung called Taeho to end their relationship. After the call, Mi Young-suk informed Taeho about Dakyung's pregnancy, surprising him. On the other hand, Soonwoo recalls the day Taeho proposed to her in front of the hospital. The next day, Taeho goes to Dakyung's apartment and professes his love, saying he can't live without her. Then Dakyung asks him to prove his commitment. Meanwhile, Mi Young-suk meets Soonwoo at her office and asks why she wants her to tell Taeho about Dakyung's pregnancy. At that time, Soonwoo believes Taeho should know because he's the father and needs to take responsibility. After work, Soonwoo visits a divorce lawyer because she wants to end her marriage due to her husband's infidelity. However, the lawyer advises her to gather concrete evidence of the affair without involving others who might be affected. While buying a book for her son, Soonwoo unexpectedly meets Dakyung at the cashier. Then, Soonwoo notices the pregnancy book Dakyung bought and strikes up a conversation with her. She asks about Dakyung's decision to keep the baby. There, Dakyung reveals that her lover promised to divorce his wife in 2 months. Hearing that, Soonwoo is shocked and advises her not to trust a man who cheated. However, Dakyung defends their relationship, claiming it's been going on for 2 years. Later, Soonwoo informs her lawyer about her decision to divorce. The lawyer advises her to check her husband's finances, so she visits the bank. There, she discovers that Taeho has taken out a loan and insurance in her name. She also finds records of her mother-in-law's hospital expenses and purchases from Pasar Raya, recalling seeing Dakyung with a Pasar Raya bag. After that, Soonwoo went to visit her mother-in-law, Jung-sim, and suspected that Jung-sim knew about her son's affair but hadn't told Soonwoo because she feared Soonwoo would divorce him and prevent her from seeing her grandson Junyoung. This angered Soonwoo even more when she learned that Taeho had borrowed money against their house and taken out insurance for Junyoung. Soonwoo then decided she would divorce Taeho. Hearing that, Jung-sim cried and begged Soonwoo not to divorce before she died. Soonwoo, however, warned her mother-in-law to stay alive, realizing that her son would suffer if she died. The next day, Jae-yuk visited Soonwoo at the hospital, pretending to check on his health, but really wanting to know if Soonwoo was aware of Taeho's lies. Soon after, Mi Young-suk informed Soonwoo that her in-laws had passed away. Soonwoo saw Dak-young's parents at the funeral, and Tae-ho warmly welcomed them, which frustrated Soonwoo. She asked Jun-young to stay alert while she stepped outside. There, Soonwoo discussed her divorce plans with Mi-young-suk. Meanwhile, Tae-ho notices Dak-young's parents leaving. Shortly after, he receives a call from Dak-young. On the other hand, Soonwoo, intending to enter the building where guests were gathered, accidentally spots Tae-ho rushing out. She follows him and is shocked to find him kissing Dak-young in the car. At the same time, Jae-yuk sees Soonwoo witnessing her husband with his mistress. The next day, Yoon-so pretends to be Dak-young's new neighbor and brings greetings and food. Dak-young notices Yoon-so carrying a pregnancy book and invites her in to chat. This is a tactic by Yoon-so, who is on Soonwoo's side. The next day at the hospital, a patient named Yi-wook meets with Soonwoo, based on a recommendation by Yoon-ki. There, Soonwoo shows Yi-wook the results of her examination, revealing she has an infectious disease, likely from her husband, Choi, cheating on her. Soon after, Yi-wook confronts Choi and slaps him for his infidelity. On the other hand, Byung-kyu, disappointed, didn't expect Soonwoo's revelation, as Choi was his patient. There, Soonwoo explains she's just doing her job. At the same time, Mi-young-suk sees them talking and informs Tae-ho that Soonwoo is with Byung-kyu. Then, Byung-kyu tells Soonwoo he didn't know his daughter was dating. Shortly after, Tae-ho arrives at the hospital and encounters Byung-kyu, who's leaving. There, Byung-kyu questions Tae-ho's sudden appearance, and Tae-ho claims he was just around and wanted to see Soonwoo. Afterward, Dak-young's parents confronted her about going out with a man. Hyojung also asked Dak-young to introduce her lover, but Dak-young refused, injuring Byung-kyu, who threatened to arrange a marriage for her. Meanwhile, Yoon-so was heading to her apartment when she witnessed Tae-ho and Dak-young arguing. She quickly messaged Soonwoo about what she saw at the hospital. Later, hospital staff blamed Soonwoo because Yi-wook's husband was an investor, leading to a loss of investors. There, Mi-young-suk advised Soonwoo to be more cautious to avoid losing more investors. However, Soonwoo turned the tables on Mi-young-suk, accusing her of being a spy for her husband. Soonwoo then instructed Yoon-so to follow Tae-ho when he left. At that time, Yoon-so prepared a camera in her car to record Dak-young's house. As she was about to leave, In-kyu showed up and questioned her about Soonwoo. Hearing that Yoon-so denied it, but In-kyu remained suspicious and rang the doorbell at Dak-young's house. Shortly after, Yoon-so rushed to stop him, but Tae-ho had already answered the door. Meanwhile, Soonwoo, realizing her husband is with Dak-young, decides to take a late-night run to clear her mind. Jae-yuk sees her and asks what's wrong. Soonwoo confides that she suspects Tae-ho is cheating. Jae-yuk offers to listen and help if needed. The next day, In-kyu confronts Soonwoo and demands money to keep quiet about her hiring Yoon-so to follow Tae-ho and Dak-young. The next day, Dak-young decides to quit her job as an instructor due to her pregnancy. Yi-reem, suspicious of Dak-young, follows her to the restroom. Then, she catches Dak-young vomiting and questions her about the pregnancy and her relationship with Tae-ho, labeling it inappropriate. Yi-reem warns Dak-young that Soonwoo might be aware of their affair and just pretending not to know. Soon after, Dak-young went with her mom to a baby shop to pick a gift for her mom's friend, who's becoming a grandparent. But Dak-young panics when her friend Hyojung says she doesn't want to be a grandma yet, because Dak-young is actually pregnant herself. Later, at a restaurant, Tae-ho had a reservation, but the place was full. Soon after, Soonwoo invited them to join her table. There, Soonwoo asked Dak-young about her dating life, which made Tae-ho choke. Upon hearing that, Jun-young left early, followed by Tae-ho, showing Soonwoo that Tae-ho is loyal to his family. Then Dak-young's doorbell rang, and she found Yoon-so with bruises. Yoon-so said she had an abortion because her boyfriend beat her. Dak-young confided that her lover is married and Yoon-so pretended to comfort her. Dak-young then revealed that her lover told her he's not attracted to his wife. At that time, Soonwoo overheard because Yoon-so's phone was connected to Soonwoo's. Soon after, Soonwoo went to see Jae-yuk, who confessed that he liked her. He also hinted about getting back at Tae-ho. They ended up staying at a hotel together. Meanwhile, Dak-young visited Tae-ho and told him she was planning to have an abortion. At the same time, Soonwoo intentionally slept with Jae-yuk to pressure him into giving Tae-ho's account details. She threatened to expose his relationship with Yi-reem if he didn't comply. Later on, Soonwoo remembered advice from her patient, Dong-sik, about seeking professional help. Soon after, Yoon-soo sent Soon-woo a video showing her husband cheating, which shocked Soon-woo. The next day, at the hospital, Soon-woo met Yoon-ki, introduced by her leader. Mi Young-suk found Yoon-ki attractive and single. After work, Soon-woo met Jae-yuk to ask for company data and her husband's account details. There, Jae-yuk provided the company data but couldn't give Taeho's account info because it was too personal. However, he agreed to help Soon-woo get it if she met him again in the same place as before. The next day, Soon-woo met Yoon-ki as he was going to work. There, Yoon-ki offered to talk if Soon-woo needed it. At the same time, Mi Young-suk saw this and started following them. The following day, Soon-woo got a call from Yi-reem and rushed to meet her. Yi-reem told Soon-woo she wanted kids, but her partner always said no. Upon hearing that, Soon-woo suggested Yi-reem see a psychiatrist about it. The next day, Dong-sik came to Soon-woo and suggested killing her husband. There, Soon-woo said no and got upset. Dong-sik got angry and broke things in Soon-woo's room. Soon after, Yoon-ki came to help Soon-woo deal with Dong-sik. Yoon-ki asked about the chaos and thought it had to do with Soon-woo's husband. At that time, Soon-woo was mad because Yoon-ki brought up personal issues, but he reminded her about their past trauma when Soon-woo's parents had an accident. The next day, when Soon-woo got home, she almost got hit by a car because she was lost in thought. Thankfully, Dr. Kung-suk saved her. Soon-woo then opened up about the troubles in her family to Dr. Kung-suk, who advised her to take her son and leave Taeho. The next day, Yoon-soo bumped into Dak-young, who was packing her things. Dak-young said she had broken up with her boyfriend and would stay with her parents for a while. Later, Yoon-soo met Soon-woo and asked for money for her work. She also mentioned that Dak-young had split up with Taeho. Soon-woo then called Taeho and told him to come over. Jae-yuk also messaged Soon-woo wanting to talk, but then Soon-woo told him to wait at the same spot as before. Meanwhile, Taeho was surprised when Soon-woo invited him to Dak-young's parents' house, where they had invited Soon-woo for dinner. Inside, Byung-kyu showed Soon-woo around while they waited for dinner, and Soon-woo showed Taeho some decorations upstairs. Not long after, Dak-young heard a loud noise and rushed out to find Soon-woo and Taeho. There, Soon-woo claimed it was an accident. While they ate, Soon-woo mentioned Byung-kyu, a big investor in her husband's company, pretending she didn't know because Taeho never mentioned it to her. Then, Soon-woo brought up Dak-young's secret pregnancy, startling both Taeho and Dak-young. Upon hearing that, Taeho tried to take Soon-woo home, but she revealed Dak-young was his husband's mistress. After saying that, Soon-woo left, but Taeho followed angry. There, Soon-woo explained she had given him a chance to confess, but he didn't. Soon-woo asked for a divorce and warned Taeho to stay away from Jun-young. At the same time, Taeho got even angrier when he found out Soon-woo had slept with his friend, Jae-yuk. But Soon-woo explained Taeho's feelings were similar to how she felt when she found out about his affair. Meanwhile, Jae-yuk got tricked by Soon-woo when he arrived at a hotel room, expecting her but found his wife there instead. Yi-reem questioned why Jae-yuk hated her, leading him to admit he chose another woman. Soon after, Yi-reem tried to leave, but Jae-yuk stopped her, admitting she wasn't normal. Meanwhile, Dak-young talked to Taeho, offering to start anew with him, leaving behind her family's wealth. Taeho agreed. Meanwhile, Soon-woo returned home and talked with Yi-reem. Yi-reem claimed she didn't know about her husband's affair with Soon-woo, but then Soon-woo countered, saying she never thought Yi-reem would cover up Taeho's affair by being his partner. Soon-woo reminded Yi-reem she once felt the same way. The next day, Taeho received a surprise package from Soon-woo, a suitcase and divorce letter, asking for custody of Jun-young. Taeho ripped the letter. The next day, there was chaos at the hospital because the website got hacked, spreading complaints from patients on blogs and social media. At that time, Soon-woo suspected Taeho. Soon after, she talked to a lawyer who suggested Taeho might be trying to ruin her career to gain custody of Jun-young. Meanwhile, In-kyu was upset with Soon-woo for lying to him. He met Taeho and revealed that Yoon-soo was helping Soon-woo follow Taeho. Upon hearing that, Taeho saw this as a chance to get back at Soon-woo. On the other hand, Jae-yuk came home and told Yi-reem he'd agree to a divorce if she wanted one. But Yi-reem didn't want to. Instead, she wanted kids. Upon hearing that, Jae-yuk disagreed and said he wouldn't see other women but didn't want children. The next day, Dong-sik thanked Soon-woo for helping him and apologized for his past behavior. He also decided to see a psychiatrist. Soon-woo felt relieved by his change. Meanwhile, Taeho told Sunwoo's boss that she had asked a patient to follow her, breaking medical rules. At that time, Sunwoo was upset because it was a personal matter, not to discuss at work. But Taeho brought up Sunwoo's parents' car accident and her stress disorder from her husband's affair, making her angrier. She rushed to pick up Junyoung from school, taking him away as Taeho tracked them using Junyoung's phone GPS. On the other hand, Junyoung tried to call his dad, but Sunwoo grabbed his phone and threw it near the river. At that time, Junyoung didn't want his parents to divorce but also didn't want to stay with Sunwoo, because she's too busy with work. Sunwoo didn't expect her son to side with Taeho, so she arranged to meet Taeho to talk about their relationship. When Taeho got home, he asked where Junyoung was, but Sunwoo told him he wouldn't see his son again. Taeho got furious, choked Sunwoo and pushed her, injuring her. He continued hurting her until Junyoung walked in and saw his mother hurt. This made Junyoung angry, and he refused to recognize Taeho as his father. Taeho was taken to the police station for his actions. Long story short, Sunwoo's lawyer presented Taeho with a divorce letter, which Sunwoo quickly approved. Taeho also lost access to funds for 2 years. Later, Byung-kyu apologized to Sunwoo because his wife's colleague hacked the hospital website. In another situation, Dakyung met her father and asked about her ATM card. Her father revealed he froze it and wondered if Taeho didn't support him. Then he urged Dakyung to leave Taeho, promising to take care of everything. However, she insisted she still wanted to be with Taeho. 2 years later, Sunwoo checked on Yoon-ki, who asked how she was doing. He also asked her out on a date, and she agreed. Later, Sunwoo saw a brochure for fancy houses in Gosan. The salesman mentioned the biggest house had just been sold, so Sunwoo went to see it. Little did she know the owner was Dakyung. Meanwhile, Junyoung came home from school and was surprised to see his dad there to pick him up. At lunch, Taeho said he missed Junyoung and gave him a baseball bat as a gift. He also invited Junyoung to a party at his house, where a famous baseball player would be. Taeho planned to get an autograph if Junyoung came. Later, Sunwoo went home and looked at an invitation. To her surprise, it was from Dakyung and Taeho, hosting an event for their daughter at the elite housing Sunwoo had been eyeing. Shortly after, Sunwoo got a call from her son's teacher saying he hadn't shown up for school. She hurried there but saw Taeho arriving with Junyoung. Sunwoo was mad because he brought their son without asking. Later at home, Junyoung asked about his dad's invitation. Sunwoo said she threw it away, and Junyoung said he wouldn't go to his dad's party. The next day at work, Sunwoo found out about her ex-husband's big project in Gosan online. While drinking, Yoon-ki saw her and asked how she was doing. Soon after, Sunwoo got a message from Taeho with a photo of him and Junyoung at a party. Afterward, Sunwoo hurried to pick up her son, with Yoon-ki ready to help. Meanwhile, Taeho and Junyoung talked to Junyoung's idol and he got an autograph. Later, Taeho took Junyoung to show him around. Dakyung overheard their conversation and spoke with Taeho privately. She was upset that Taeho gave Junyoung a room. At that time, the guests were surprised when Sunwoo arrived with Dr. Yoon-ki. Soon after, Taeho approached her, but Sunwoo said she came for her son. Then Dakyung asked Sunwoo to leave since it was only for invited guests. Hearing that, Sunwoo showed her invitation, surprising Dakyung. Shortly after, Sunwoo hurried to find her son and ended up in Taeho and Dakyung's room. Suddenly, Hyo-jong and her friends came to see Dakyung's room, so Sunwoo hid in the dressing room. She didn't expect the room to be identical to hers. When it was safe, Sunwoo planned to leave, but Taeho stopped her. At that time, Sunwoo thought Taeho returned to Gosan because of her, but he said he had moved on and only loved Dakyung now. As Sunwoo was about to leave, she saw Taeho, Dakyung, and her daughter, Jenny, giving a speech. Dakyung had called Sunwoo and asked for peace to move on from the past. However, Sunwoo left the party to find her son. While Junyoung was with his friends, they commented that his new house was nicer than his mom's. Junyoung was surprised to see his mom leaving the party and asked why she came. But Sunwoo didn't answer and told Junyoung to get in Dr. Yoon-ki's car to go home. At home, Junyoung felt embarrassed that his mom came to his dad's party. There, Sunwoo asked why Junyoung lied about not going to his dad's party. Junyoung said only his dad could understand him, which made Sunwoo sad. Later, Junyoung cried in his room, feeling sad seeing his dad happy with his new family. Earlier, Junyoung left behind a baseball bat signed by his idol. The next day, Taeho met with Sunwoo and the hospital leaders, Dr. Ji-chul and Myung-suk, to discuss donations. Taeho agreed to donate, but only if Sunwoo resigned. At home, Junyoung and Sunwoo were having dinner when suddenly stones started hitting their house from outside, scaring them. Sunwoo's house didn't have security cameras, so the police couldn't see who was throwing the stones. Later, Taeho arrived after Junyoung called him. He brought Junyoung's baseball bat from his house and offered to stay with them for safety. But Sunwoo didn't want him there and asked him to leave. The next day, a group of wealthy people from Gosan got together for sports shooting. Dakyum was really good at it and impressed everyone. When they had a meal together, Yirim wanted to pay, but Dakyum insisted on treating everyone with gifts she had prepared. Yirim also mentioned that Taeho's actions were too much because they never asked their husbands to pay for every gathering. After hearing what was said, Yi-wook agreed and left without taking the parcel, except for Mi-young-suk. Dakyum and her mom felt upset because the association members insulted them. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sunwoo was surprised to see Junyoung walk in. Sunwoo wondered why his son had left secretly without telling him. When Junyoung entered Yoon-ki's room, Sunwoo was surprised to see him there. Sunwoo asked both Junyoung and Yoon-ki what had been happening. Sunwoo didn't know that his son was there for therapy. At that time, Junyoung got angry because Sunwoo followed him and rushed home. At home, Sunwoo looked at photos of their broken family and remembered what Yoon-ki once said about Junyoung feeling guilty about their divorce. Soon after, Junyoung found a memory card that Sunwoo had thrown away when his father cheated on him at a party. So Junyoung blamed himself for the divorce. He approached his mother and told her that he would go to dinner at his father's house the next day. Outside, Taeho commented that Yi-rim was admirable for still wanting to accept Jae-hyuk despite everything. He advised Jae-hyuk to treat Yi-rim better because divorce doesn't end well. The following day, Mi-young-suk wanted to take Sunwoo's place, so she contacted Taeho about their agreement. Taeho said he would handle it soon. Then, Mi-young-suk went to Dr. Ji-chol and asked him to get rid of Sunwoo. But Dr. Ji-chol mentioned that Sunwoo had asked to meet Byung-kyu separately. Meanwhile, Taeho went to Sunwoo's room and suggested that it wasn't just him who wanted Sunwoo gone, cause it might be Byung-kyu's wish too. Shortly after, Taeho showed a CCTV photo of the man who had attacked Sunwoo, but she wondered if Taeho was worried about her. Taeho panicked and urged Sunwoo to leave Gosan before she faced embarrassment without any support. Later, Sunwoo received a package. Inside, she found a dead bird and a photo of Junyoung. This worried her, so she tried to call Junyoung but couldn't reach him. Then, unexpectedly, Taeho called asking about Junyoung's whereabouts. Sunwoo mentioned that Junyoung had disappeared from his tutoring session. Shortly after, the police called, saying they found Junyoung. Soon after, Sunwoo rushed to meet them and learned that Junyoung didn't want to go to tutoring. And then, Yoon-ki later joined them. Meanwhile, Dr. Ji-chol met with Byung-kyu, but the meeting ended because Taeho and Sunwoo weren't there. Dr. Ji-chol suggested Yoon-ki as the new director instead of Mi-young-suk. However, Byung-kyu wasn't sure about Yoon-ki's abilities. On the other hand, Junyoung stayed in his room, upset with his mother for calling the police when he skipped class. Later, Sunwoo talked to Yoon-ki, who advised Sunwoo to work less and focus more on Junyoung. But Sunwoo couldn't reduce his work hours because he was also a hospital director. Shortly after, Taeho visited Sunwoo's house to check on Junyoung. But Sunwoo stopped him, suspecting that the trouble was caused by In-kyu. At that time, they argued, and Yoon-ki saw them from the window. Meanwhile, Dakyum entered Taeho's office and found a phone. She was shocked to find many pictures of Sunwoo on it, realizing that her husband was still stalking her. Sunwoo then contacted Yoon, so to confirm if the person in the CCTV footage was In-kyu. But Yoon-so wasn't sure due to the blurry image. At that time, Sunwoo worried because In-kyu had been released from prison, but Yoon-so assured her that he wouldn't harm them. Unexpectedly, In-kyu visited Yoon-so and questioned who contacted him. Yoon-so said it was a friend, and In-kyu asked her to come back to him. As they were leaving, Taeho confronted In-kyu for bothering his son. But In-kyu threatened Taeho, demanding more money or he'd expose Taeho's secrets. The next day, Sunwoo met with Yoon-ki and asked why he chose Junyoung as his patient. Yoon-ki explained that, like Junyoung, he also made mistakes before studying medicine. Later, Junyoung went to the hospital's parking lot and damaged Byung-kyu's car. At that time, Yoon-ki caught him, but Junyoung tried to escape. Byung-kyu arrived and Junyoung fled again. Byung-kyu asked Yoon-ki to let him go. Yoon-ki then informed the hospital authorities that Taeho was still fixated on Sunwoo. At first, Byung-kyu thought Yoon-ki had feelings for Sunwoo, but Yoon-ki clarified that he only wanted Sunwoo to feel at ease about her situation, with no romantic interest involved. The next day, Yerim and Jae-hyuk went to see a doctor about a pregnancy program. While Jae-hyuk went for his examination, Yerim waited in the waiting room. Suddenly, she received a message and saw a photo of Jae-hyuk sleeping with another woman. This made her very angry, and she decided to leave. When Jae-hyuk checked on her later, Rak found Yerim, making Jae-hyuk confused. Meanwhile, Dakyung was at the spa when she spotted Yoon-so meeting Sunwoo. There, Sunwoo offered help if Yoon-so needed it, but Yoon-so told Sunwoo not to see In-kyu again because Dakyung saw them together. Later, Dakyung asked Yoon-so if she still sees Sunwoo and is she spying on her. Yoon-so explained she worked hard at the spa to get her license. She also heard that Dakyung married and returned to Gosan. Yoon-so advised Dakyung that if someone has lied before, there's no guarantee they won't do it again. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sunwoo congratulated Yoon-ki because he was going to be the hospital's young director. This surprised Mi Young-suk, who then talked to Sunwoo in her room. At that time, Mi Young-suk admitted she didn't trust Yoon-ki and had suspicions from the start because he kept trying to get close to Sunwoo and Junyoung. At the same time, Jae-hyuk found out why Yerim left. He received a call from Taeho and wondered if Taeho had something to do with it. Taeho said he advised Jae-hyuk to treat Yerim well. Meanwhile, Sunwoo confronted Yoon-ki about selling his personal information to Byung-kyu. Yoon-ki claimed he did it for Sunwoo's sake and didn't care about his position, but Sunwoo didn't believe him. On the other hand, Yoon-so got an invitation from In-kyu to go ring shopping for their wedding. This surprised and frightened her, so she contacted Sunwoo and told her about meeting In-kyu. She thought In-kyu might be a figment of Taeho's imagination because he seemed very wealthy. The next day, In-kyu went to Yoon-so's workplace but couldn't find her. He found out she had left town. In-kyu also called Taeho and threatened him to give him money at Gosan Station, claiming Sunwoo got it from Yoon-so. At Gosan Station, Yoon-so was with Sunwoo and told In-kyu she wouldn't contact him again. Sunwoo asked where she was going and Yoon-so said she had a friend in Ulsan who worked at a factory, so she was meeting him. Before they parted, Sunwoo gave Yoon-so her scarf. Soon after, In-kyu arrived and tried to find Yoon, so while she tried to avoid him. Meanwhile, Sunwoo noticed that Yoon-so had left something behind, so she hurried inside. Just as the train started moving, Sunwoo saw Yoon-so's suitcase left behind. She also saw someone being taken away on a stretcher by an ambulance and noticed her scarf there, which made her worried about Yoon-so. Earlier, In-kyu asked Yoon-so to give their relationship another chance, promising not to hurt her again. However, Yoon-so decided to leave him anyway. She didn't realize when Sunwoo's gift flew away. Feeling like In-kyu was chasing her, she ran downstairs to hide. Back to the present, Yoon-ki approached Sunwoo and informed her that the person taken by the ambulance was a man, specifically In-kyu. Meanwhile, Taeho went home to tend to the wound on his neck. The next day, Sunwoo asked Yoon-ki how he ended up at the scene. Yoon-ki said it was just a coincidence. He'd explained that he was there and saw someone fall from the roof, noticing Sunwoo in the crowd. Yoon-ki thought if Sunwoo stayed, it might raise suspicion since she reported In-kyu for causing trouble at her house, so he asked her to leave right away. Shortly after, Sunwoo got a call from Yoon-so, who sounded scared and denied causing In-kyu's death. Yoon-so explained there was someone else on the roof, pointing to Taeho. Upon hearing that, Sunwoo was shocked. Meanwhile, Yerim met Jae-hyuk and handed him divorce papers, urging him to sign them immediately. The next day, detectives questioned Sunwoo because they found her scarf at the scene. Sunwoo admitted it was hers but explained she gave it to Yoon-so at the station. Meanwhile, Dakyung found bloodstains on Taeho's shirt and a train ticket to Gosan in her pocket. She suspected Taeho might be responsible for In-kyu's death. Sometime later, Junyoung had dinner with Taeho and asked why he divorced his mom and then got back together with her. Junyoung blamed his dad for everything and asked him to stop bothering him. Meanwhile, Sunwoo met Yoon-so at the inn. Yoon-so repeated that she didn't kill In-kyu. Just then, Taeho arrived and asked where In-kyu was. Yoon-so said In-kyu was on the roof, so Taeho rushed off. Yoon-so also mentioned that In-kyu had asked Taeho to bring him money. After hearing Yoon-so's explanation, Sunwoo told her to keep quiet because no one would believe her, and Byung-kyu might protect Taeho. At that time, Yoon-so also showed Sunwoo Taeho's wedding ring that was left behind and asked for help. When Sunwoo got home, he was surprised to find Taeho waiting outside. Shortly after, Sunwoo asked Taeho about In-kyu's death and was convinced Taeho was responsible. He urged Taeho to confess since someone had seen him. Taeho wondered if it was Yoon-so, but also suspected Sunwoo because he was there too. However, Sunwoo denied the accusation, so Taeho asked him to keep quiet for Junyoung's sake. Taeho actually planned to blame Yoon-so for the crime. Later, Yoon-ki met Byung-kyu and asked about someone following Sunwoo. He also mentioned seeing Taeho at the scene. Soon after, Sunwoo met Yoon-ki and Byung-kyu, but he wasn't sure if Yoon-so was following him because she thought Sunwoo had teamed up with Byung-kyu. During the meeting, Sunwoo asked Byung-kyu if he had something to do with the CCTV footage disappearing from the train station. She wondered if he intentionally tried to make her look like a murderer. Byung-kyu avoided the question, but Sunwoo threatened to check the CCTV the next day to see who tampered with it. Shortly after, Yoon-so called Sunwoo and said she was at the police station, promising not to bother him again, which surprised Sunwoo. Meanwhile, elsewhere, detectives approached Taeho. When taken to the police station, Taeho remained silent, but suddenly Sunwoo showed up. She claimed she was there because of Taeho. There, Sunwoo explained to the police that she was with Taeho on the night of the incident, in the parking lot. At first, the police didn't believe her and asked for proof, but Taeho was shocked when Sunwoo took out his wedding ring, saying she found it in her car. Afterward, Taeho was released. As he left, Sunwoo mentioned she had met Byung-kyu before going to the police station. When Taeho got home, Dakyung asked why the police contacted him again. Taeho was upset and told her to thank Sunwoo because she had helped him. Dakyung wondered why Sunwoo helped him, and Taeho explained that Sunwoo didn't want Junyoung to be known as the son of a murderer. The next day, Dakyung got a call from the police saying In-kyu's death was ruled as a suicide. The next day, Sunwoo met Yoon-so and suggested things might have been different if Yoon-so hadn't acted rashly. Sunwoo believed In-kyu jumped because Yoon-so broke up with him, but Yoon-so explained she stayed with him out of pity. Meanwhile, Byung-kyu talked to Taeho and remembered watching the CCTV footage. There, Byung-kyu realized Taeho was the culprit because of the timing of Taeho going to the roof and In-kyu falling. The following day, one of Junyoung's friends, No-hool, told Sunwoo that their classmates were spreading rumors that In-kyu was Sunwoo's lover. Upon hearing that, Sunwoo asked where the news came from, and No-hool said it was from another friend, Hadkang. The next day, Sunwoo went to the scene and met Mrs. Hadkang. She asked her not to spread false rumors in front of the kids and threatened to ruin her and her husband if she heard more rumors. Soon after, Dakyung met Junyoung and noticed he didn't look well. She felt sorry for Sunwoo because of the rumors. Dakyung suggested Sunwoo might leave town for Junyoung's sake and have a better career as a doctor. But Sunwoo insisted on staying for Junyoung and facing tough people. Later, Sunwoo arrived home and asked why Taeho was there. Taeho said he didn't want to take his son without Sunwoo knowing. Shortly after, Junyoung came down with his things. Taeho said Junyoung would live with him, shocking her. At that time, Sunwoo begged Junyoung to talk before leaving, but Taeho refused. As Taeho's car drove away, Sunwoo cried watching his son leave. The next day, Taeho came back to see Sunwoo at home and asked if she planned to leave Gosan City. Sunwoo said she was still thinking about it and agreed to let Junyoung live with Taeho, but she'd bring him back whenever he wanted. Then, Taeho asked why she didn't leave and why she helped him at the police station. Taeho suspected Sunwoo had feelings for him. Upon hearing that, Sunwoo told Taeho to leave, but he believed she was just using Junyoung as an excuse to wait for him. He hoped they could be together again, but Sunwoo slapped him and told him to leave. Taeho asked if he was wrong, but Sunwoo stayed silent. Later on, Dakyung tried to reach Taeho, but he didn't respond because he was with Sunwoo. Taeho asked Sunwoo if he should go back to Dakyung, but Sunwoo still refused and told him to stay committed to his marriage. The next day, Sunwoo contacted Taeho and told him she decided to stay in Busan. She also asked to see Junyoung before leaving. Taeho felt Busan was too far, saying Sunwoo's decision should also be approved by Junyoung. The following day, Sunwoo got a call from the school that Junyoung had Haecome and was in the hospital. Soon after, Sunwoo met with the school alongside Taeho. They talked to Junyoung, who said Hae-kang caught him stealing chips at the internet cafe and threatened to tell others. At that time, Soon-woo and Tae-ho were shocked their son stole. Then Tae-ho asked Jun-young to apologize to Hae-kang and the cafe owner. Jun-young felt frustrated, questioning if apologizing would make things right. Tae-ho insisted he obey to avoid trouble at school, but Jun-young got angry, saying he didn't care if he got expelled. The next day, Soon-woo went to the hospital to apologize, but Hae-kang's mom didn't accept it. She questioned if Jun-young, who often steals, was the one taking things from his friends. She suggested Soon-woo check if her son has a problem. Soon-woo got mad hearing her accuse Jun-young of stealing. When Soon-woo got home, she checked Jun-young's room and found stolen items, surprising her. In the car, Tae-ho asked why Jun-young stays at the internet cafe all night. Jun-young said he heard he might go abroad, so he avoids being home. Tae-ho mentioned Dak-young's suggestion to send Jun-young abroad was for his good. But Jun-young asked why Tae-ho cared about Soon-woo now, after hurting her before. Tae-ho explained that despite the divorce, they were still his parents. But Jun-young accused Tae-ho of being a coward who made excuses for himself. The next day, at the hospital, Soon-woo, Tae-ho, and Jun-young met Hae-kang's parents. Jun-young finally apologized and promised not to hit Hae-kang again. However, Hae-kang and his parents didn't accept his apology. Suddenly, Soon-woo knelt down to apologize so Jun-young could be forgiven. But then Dak-young arrived and apologized on behalf of Jun-young's family. Hae-kang's parents accepted the apology because Dak-young's family had a lot of influence in the city. Long story short, Soon-woo examined a female patient with irritable bowel symptoms. She asked if the patient might be pregnant, but she said no, even though her menstrual cycle was irregular. Soon-woo advised her to see a gynecologist to check for any menstrual irregularities. In the evening, Soon-woo met Tae-ho and told him that Jun-young often steals things and has a problem called kleptomania. Tae-ho said he learned about it from Dak-young, who heard it from Hae-kang's mother. Then they both met Jun-young. There, Soon-woo asked Jun-young if it was true that he slept in an internet cafe, and he confirmed it. Soon-woo also asked if he saw something unusual that night. Jun-young said he did it. He saw his parents sleeping together, which surprised Soon-woo. The next day, at the hospital, a patient whom Soon-woo had treated came with her father. The father complained that his daughter was having severe stomach pain. Soon-woo got the news from Mi Young-suk about a patient in pain. Mi Young-suk asked Soon-woo not to handle it and gave it to him to deal with, but the patient was upset with Soon-woo, thinking she had diagnosed him incorrectly. Soon-woo apologized, but Mi Young-suk explained to the father that Soon-woo had suggested his daughter see a gynecologist, but she didn't follow through. Still, the father threatened to cause trouble if anything happened to his daughter. The incident made Dr. Ji-chul upset with Soon-woo because she forgot some important steps during a patient checkup. Soon-woo said sorry and decided to quit her job. The following day, the wealthy Gosen family's women gathered. At that time, Dr. Ji-chul informed them that Soon-woo had quit her job and was leaving the city. In another story, Dr. Kung-suk arrived at work and noticed Soon-woo's car parked there. He found Soon-woo sleeping in the car and invited her to his office. Soon-woo shared her story with Dr. Kung-suk. Later, Dr. Kung-suk contacted Yoon-ki to let him know that Soon-woo was at his place. On another note, Tae-ho went to Soon-woo's house but found Yi-rim instead. There, Yi-rim asked Tae-ho to stop meddling in Soon-woo's life because he had sided with Jun-young. As time passed, Soon-woo felt sad and told Dr. Kung-suk that she had lost her family and her job. But despite that, she didn't regret it, though she felt hurt because her son hated her. The next day, Dr. Kung-suk contacted Yoon-ki and said that Soon-woo was missing. Yoon-ki rushed to the nurse to cancel all his appointments for the day. Coincidentally, Tae-ho was there with Mi Young-suk and saw Yoon-ki in a hurry. Tae-ho realized that Yoon-ki knew where Soon-woo was and that she might be in trouble. Meanwhile, Soon-woo sat on the beach, thinking about her difficult past when she was abandoned by her parents as a child. She decided to end her life by drowning, but Yoon-ki came looking for her and found her struggling in the waves. He rescued her and revived her when she passed out. Tae-ho also arrived and saw them together, then decided to leave. Tae-ho went back home and got ready for a family dinner with Dak-young's parents. Shortly after, they heard Jenny crying upstairs and found Jun-young with her. Dak-young scolded Jun-young because he had hit Jenny, but Jun-young denied it. Soon after, Tae-ho came to ask what happened, and Jun-young continued to deny and defend himself. However, his father slapped him. Later, Junyoung called his mom, and Sunwoo heard him crying. Junyoung asked his mother to pick him up, so Sunwoo hurried to Dakyung's house, surprising her. Suddenly, Junyoung came downstairs and was about to leave. At first, Dakyung told him to go back to his room, but he ignored her and rushed out, leaving Dakyung and his parents. At that time, Byung-kyu tried to stop Dakyung and asked her to let Junyoung go. Meanwhile, Junyoung hugged his mother, and Sunwoo apologized for arriving late. Soon after, Dakyung came out, and Sunwoo asked why she was so concerned about Junyoung. Dakyung said she wanted to give him a normal family. However, Sunwoo didn't believe it because she knew Dakyung was doing all this to keep her marriage with Taeho intact. At that time, Sunwoo also tried to advise Dakyung by saying that relationships can change and sometimes break apart. But Dakyung avoided the topic and insisted that her marriage was different from Sunwoo's. Unexpectedly, Sunwoo even revealed to Dakyung that she and Taeho had slept together, which shocked and surprised Dakyung. The next day, when Taeho got home, he asked Dakyung about Junyoung, but Dakyung instead questioned why Taeho was spending time with Sunwoo again. Taeho admitted to it, but he also regretted his actions. This led to an argument between Taeho and Dakyung. The following day, Taeho returned to see Junyoung. However, Sunwoo informed him that Junyoung was scared and didn't want to see Taeho anymore. Despite this, Taeho still wanted to apologize to Junyoung and rushed to meet him. However, Junyoung refused to see his father again. Then Taeho got mad at Sunwoo because she had told Dakyung about their affair. He threatened to take Junyoung away, but Sunwoo wasn't scared. Later on, Junyoung met Novul to bid farewell. He asked her to help him return the things he stole to his friends. However, Novul confessed that she liked him and tried to stop him from changing. Upon hearing that, Junyoung thanked her and left. The next day, Sunwoo got a call from Dakyung and met her right away. Dakyung asked Sunwoo not to see Taeho again. Sunwoo felt sorry for Dakyung because she came to ensure Sunwoo stayed away from Taeho. Sunwoo told Dakyung to be aware of Taeho's behavior. She also took Dakyung to her house and showed her their matching clothes and perfume. Sunwoo also reminded Taeho that many women share similar tastes, so there's no guarantee he'll like another woman just because she shares those tastes. Later, Taeho arrived at his office to find all his belongings packed. He realized he'd been fired from the company. When he got home, he saw his things being loaded onto a truck. He asked Byung-kyu for an explanation. Byung-kyu said Taeho had made his daughter unhappy, so he took this action. Then Dakyung appeared and confronted Taeho, revealing she knew everything he had in common with Sunwoo. It was from the song he used to propose to her clothes. Then Dakyung told Taeho that if he didn't want to be seen as Sunwoo's replacement, he should stop seeing Jenny. When Dakyung's family left, Taeho saw Sunwoo in her car and went up to her. Taeho blamed Sunwoo for ruining his life, but she ignored him and drove away. Later, Sunwoo returned and threw some money at Taeho, telling him to use it to stay in a hotel. But Taeho still felt Sunwoo had ruined his life, which made her angry, saying he was the one who had actually ruined hers. After some time, the members of the association talked about Dakyung's family leaving and Sunwoo returning to Gosan. Shortly after, Sunwoo went back to the hospital to see Mi Young-suk and congratulate him on his new position. There, Mi Young-suk asked if Sunwoo wanted to come back to work, but she felt embarrassed to do so. Meanwhile, Junyoung decided to return to his old school. At that time, Novul gave him a book to help him catch up on the schoolwork he missed. Sunwoo also met Haekung's mother, who said everything had returned to normal, including the friendship between their children. Haekung's mother apologized to Sunwoo for her son's behavior. The next day, Yerim met Jaedyuk and decided to move back in together. To celebrate, Sunwoo and others attended Yerim and Jaedyuk's celebration. Then Mi Young-suk asked about Taeho, who hadn't been seen lately. Yerim explained that Taeho might not come back again. But Sunwoo spotted someone who looked like Taeho, making her feel uneasy. The next day, Sunwoo checked the letters she received and found one with no sender's name. She also saw her wedding photo with Taeho. At that time, Junyoung accidentally saw the letter and told his mom not to be affected by the photo. Long story short, Yerim expressed her anxiety and suspicion to Jaedyuk, showing she still couldn't forgive him. As time passed, Sunwoo found a note from Taeho, saying he might take Junyoung away. She contacted Taeho and invited him to eat with them so they could talk things through. Sunwoo spotted them by the lake. Junyoung let go of his father's hand and hugged his mother. Sunwoo asked Taeho to join them in the car to discuss their problems over a meal. During the meal, Taeho asked Sunwoo to forgive him and start over, as he felt he had lost everything. But Joomi got upset, telling his father he had ruined everything and needed to realize that. Soon after, Joon stormed off to the restroom, upset. At that time, Sunwoo asked Taeho to forget about it and offered him money to help, but Taeho refused, saying he didn't meet Sunwoo for money. On their way home, Sunwoo and Joon saw Taeho crossing the road, seemingly trying to do bad things. Upon knowing that, Sunwoo rushed to check on him and hug him when she saw he was okay. But Joon got angry and left. Sunwoo and Taeho met the police to report their missing son. 1 year later, Taeho applied for a job at a company. Meanwhile, Jae-yuk was seen with another woman and had stopped talking to Yi-ring. On the other hand, Dak-young was studying how to manage an art gallery in the library. At that time, a man offered her a drink, but she declined. Meanwhile, Sunwoo was gazing out the window of her house. Soon after, she heard someone entering and was surprised to see her son finally home. Sunwoo walked towards her son. The series ends. The moral lesson from this series is if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But if your husband gives you trouble, just throw the whole husband away.